Mental health is one of the most prevalent issues in our society today. From your mailman to your barber to even your own relative, anyone could be suffering from mental health. However, there's a false pretense against mental health where the people in our society believe that mental health is a widely accepted issue. According to the article by A.M. Persepke and L.J. Cabasa on public stigma against mental health, there's a substantial increase in perceptions of individuals with mental illnesses as dangerous. This is because there's a false stigma against mental health. The stigma that suggests, as mentioned before, that people suffering from mental health have tendencies to be harmful towards other human beings. People suffering from mental health are alienated as a result into a whole separate community. Furthermore, the negative public perception of mental health also causes a lot of individuals, as evident by the book The Gene Machine, which is read by one of my peers in my class, to get abortions as a result of the prediction that their to be born child might suffer from Down syndrome. As proven by this article by Tuomo Mata, people that are suffering from Down syndrome are highly likely to show signs of mental illnesses at different points in their life. It makes me angry just to think about how someone can take a life just because of the possibility that their offspring won't fit in, that they won't be normal. And the worst part is, we are responsible for this. A disease that has been focused on, in particular in my choice novel, is anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis. The protagonist, Susanna Callahan, is diagnosed with it. The book lays high emphasis on consensus genitum in regards to anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, which basically refers to public perception. In particular, when the protagonist is suffering from a panic attack, she's crying profusely, but she ignores her condition on the way a group of people, quote unquote, gawked at her, which made her feel worse and more pathetic. Even in current date, it is quite challenging for doctors to diagnose certain patients that do suffer from mental illnesses, which is why a lot of patients actually are hesitant to get help for their condition. Which is why Susanna Callahan, who is suffering from anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, which is a disease that we didn't know too much about when she was actually diagnosed with it, is the mediator for countless individuals whose rare conditions have actually gone undiagnosed and aren't given the help that they deserve. Another thing that is evident in our society today is that parents are not ready to accept the fact that their child might be suffering from mental health because of the social implications it might result in, the possibility that it might result in public shame, which is why a lot of parents refrain from getting their children proper treatment for mental health. It is evident in the book Brain on Fire when Susanna, the protagonist's mother, abstains from accepting the prospect of her daughter suffering from a mental illness, although her daughter was experiencing clear symptoms of bipolar disorder. This is evident when Susanna visits a psychiatrist and informs him of her condition and the symptoms that she's been experiencing. The doctor responds by instructing her out of the room and then continues to tell her mother that the cause of her seizures and her strange behavior was indeed just stress and drinking, which is what, quote unquote, was the answer that she wanted to hear. That just shows you the extent that parents would go. One of the core pillars of existence is fitting into the pecking order, fitting into your community, which is why a lot of people don't accept the fact that they have mental illnesses because of the social and public implications which can result in them being alienated and being cast aside. If someone comes up to you today and tells you that he or she is suffering from any particular mental illness, your instant perception of them will definitely change. Which brings me to my next point, evident by the article by Ichiro Kawachi and Lisa F. Parkman. Support networks and social networks are vital in curing mental health and helping mental health patients maintain their psychological well-being. Moral support from your loved ones, your friends, and from society in general extremely impacts one's psychological well-being. As evident in the book Brain on Fire, an integral part of Susanna Callahan remembering what happened to her, remembering what she missed, was her family, her fiancé. Therefore, it is vital for a society to support mental health patients. An instance in particular in my book, Brain on Fire, that was intriguing to me was that Susanna herself is convinced that she needed to hide her quote unquote perplexing behavior from her husband, even though her best friend, Angela, had urged her to tell the truth. Why did this thought pop into her head in the first place? Why should one think of another person's perception of them and the fact that they might leave them before letting them know about their condition? People cease to accept it, but this train of thought is embedded into our minds. If you were suffering from the flu, you would never, and I mean never, refrain from telling anyone because that wouldn't change their perception of you. That wouldn't change their behavior towards you. However, why is this a different case with mental illnesses and mental health? Why do we have to refrain from telling anyone? Because of what they would think of me. Because of whether or not they'll cast me aside. Why? Why is this our society today? And the most infuriating thought is that any particular individual can easily be pushed over the edge because of the immense social pressure that exists in our society. We need to take a stand. We are the voice of our community. We feel as if mental health is accepted in our community. But would you openly tell anyone that you're suffering from a mental illness? That there proves everything that I just said.